The Milwaukee Bucks, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Phoenix Suns, and the Utah Jazz. Well, and the Trailblazers, but that just doesn't quite sound as nice. But regardless, those are the 5 teams with the best records in the NBA. 4 of those teams made moves to get better this season, and one of those teams did the opposite. Or at least that's what we thought. Because after trading away the 2 faces of the franchise, most people expected Utah to fall off a cliff, and I'd love to come on here and say I thought the exact opposite and thought the Jazz were going to be one of the best teams in the NBA through the first 8 games of the season, but I didn't, and I don't think anyone else really did, which is why so far they've been undoubtedly the shock of the season. But before I talk about the team as a whole and the fact they've beaten multiple teams that people consider contenders in the West, remember that Donovan Mitchell trade? Well, we might not remember it for the draft picks that were in that trade, but rather remember it because Lauri Markkanen looks to be turning into a star in Utah. And when I mean star, I really mean it, because he's one of only 6 players in the league averaging at least 22 points and 9 rebounds a game. Those other 5 guys, well, I'll let you look for yourself. Now, what has made Lauri so good to start the season is his overall scoring package. Recently, his 3-point shot has started to fall again, and if it continues to drop, I don't know how you defend that man, because he's also been an absolute menace off the ball, often utilizing Clarkson and Conley's ability to collapse the defense before darting to the rim and finishing with easy dunks or catching lobs out in transition. But above all, the reason he looks every bit of a 20+ point per game scorer is his ability to also put the ball on the floor and finish against any number of defenders. Just watch him hit this ridiculous tough fade over Gobert, or on this play where he gets a smaller defender in McDaniels and bullies him before finishing with a nice soft hook. There are still some lost souls out there that think Lauri Markkanen is just a spot-up 3-point shooter that doesn't really play defense. We'll get to the defense in a bit, but he can do so much more than that offensively. I mean, he just had a 31 point, 11 rebounds, 4-block game against the Memphis Grizzlies. That is a Giannis-level stat line. Those are the kind of numbers he's putting up. And this is going to sound like I'm on crack, but through 8 games of the season, his impact has been on an MVP level. I'm not saying he's an MVP candidate or actually playing at that level, but his impact. Hear me out, because just look at his on-off numbers. Basically, when he's on the floor and when he's off the floor, and you compare it to the likes of Jokic and Giannis in their MVP seasons, and you can see some similarities. It's very early in the season. I don't think he's going to be an MVP level player, but what I do think for certain is he's definitely in contention for an all-star appearance. But before we spend the whole video talking about Lauri, this has been a team effort from the Jazz, because what's so impressive is not just the 6 wins, but it's the fact that they've beaten the Nuggets, the Wolves, the Pels, and the Grizzlies twice. And like I said, every one of these teams have been considered contenders by some people. And ironically, Utah are beating these teams by doing what has made them so good for several years, which is knocking down a high volume of 3-point shots. But there is one little minor difference. It's the fact that this season, their assist numbers have gone up quite significantly, which is clearly a team effort, but there's one player in particular who has made one of the most low-key improvements this season, and that's Jordan Clarkson. At 30 years old, JP has been a 6th man for pretty much his entire career, but this year he's been a starter and he's doubled his assist tally. Clarkson has generally been a score-first guard that doesn't really pass a ton. This season, however, he's averaging over 5 assists a game, and he's been a flat-out good playmaker. Just watch this play where JC breaks down the defender before drawing a crowd and making a great kick out to a wide-open Malik Beasley. Or how about this great pass where he finds Olynyk in the post, which might seem like a regular pass, but trust me when I say there are numerous players that wouldn't put that to Olynyk's advantage like Clarkson did, which allowed him to seal off the defender without forcing a turnover. At 30 years of age to have improved this much as a playmaker shouldn't be overlooked. That is a huge jump, and you've got to shout out Will Hardy and the fact he's had confidence in Clarkson playing as a starting guard alongside Mike Conley. But outside of Clarkson's improvement as a passer, what makes this team so much more fluid than the talent might suggest is everyone can pass. That sounds really obvious. Well, it kind of is, because if you look at the likes of Olynyk, Markkanen, and Vanderbilt, along with those two guards I just mentioned, those are all capable playmakers and passers. Even off the bench, you have numerous guards that can also pass. And it all culminates when you look at plays like this, where Conley and Vando run a pick and roll before Vando kicks it out to Clarkson, who makes the next pass to a wide open Rudy Gay. But Will Hardy deserves a ton of credit, because with a team that is not supposed to really play together, it's just a bunch of trade assets, they have looked more fluid and more clean than the likes of the Pelicans, the Nuggets, the Grizzlies. These are fantastic offenses. It's pretty special for them to be playing this well. With that being said, are they playing too well? The elephant in the room, should we just quickly address it? Because a lot of people are saying, oh, this is the worst thing that could happen to Utah. Oh my god, this is Danny Ainge's nightmare. Can we just relax for a second? Have we forgotten what the purpose of sports is? This isn't some side rant. Keeping on track with the Jazz, obviously a championship is number one when it comes to sport and basketball, but a team that is playing this well, that was not expected to play this well, that was never supposed to really be a team, and playing this brand of basketball, is a pretty fun experience for fans and for players. I mean, just listen to the atmosphere in Utah down the stretch of their comeback win against Memphis.
Crosses over, Beasley, three. Yes! And the wiggle! Beasley is wiggling after the three!
This is a regular season game, and there's not a single fan or player that is not getting the same jubilation that you would get from a playoff win. Enough about the tanking situation though. Can we talk about the defense? Because statistically, it's actually been the defense that has been more effective than the offense, and that might surprise some people when you look at a lineup of Conley, Clarkson, Markkanen, Olynyk, and Vanderbilt. But led by Vanderbilt and Lowry, Utah have had the right combination of versatility and rim protection. Yes, rim protection from Lowry, Markkanen, and Jared Vanderbilt, because Utah are currently holding opponents to the 4th worst percentage at the rim, only behind the Spurs, Clippers, and oh yeah, that team who's got that guy that's pretty good at defense. But it's plays like this that get me excited. Markkanen is at the 5 guarding the Ja and Adams pick and roll. Ja avoids the screen with a quick crossover, but watch Lowry move his feet, stay vertical, and then block the shot. This was one of 4 blocks in the game against the Grizzlies. Or how about the other extremely versatile defender on this team? Watch Vando lock up Anthony Edwards on a possession down the stretch of this game. Or how about when Vando made this block on Ja to close out the second quarter, in which the Jazz blew Memphis out of the water, by the way, once they went to that small ball 5 with Lowry and Vanderbilt. And I'm once again going to be praising Lowry, which I've done a lot of, but it's because he doesn't seem to get the credit he deserves defensively. He made a big step up last year in Cleveland, and he seems to have gone to another level, because not only is he incredibly versatile, with the ability to step up and guard the ball handler in pick and rolls or guard wings on the perimeter, but he's also altering shots at the rim at a pretty damn high level, which is why the Jazz have been allowed to play lineups with just Lowry and Vando in the absence of Kessler, and look really solid defensively. You also have to give credit to Utah's perimeter defenders, who have been locked in as well to start the season, but the versatility of Lowry at the 5 along with Vanderbilt is really intriguing defensively. Oh yeah, and if you made it all the way to the end of the video, you may as well drop a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, that would be much appreciated. Have a great day.